How you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today I'm looking at cartoon books Bone. Uh, this is I thought it was a wonderfully fun comic, but a lot of people think it's for little kids, and yes, little kids can enjoy it. It's for little kids in that Star Wars is for little kids, in that the kids could understand the story, but adults could love the story also. The artwork is a little cartoony, and that was done on purpose. Well, obviously it was done on purpose, but it was done because Jeff Smith, he wanted to pay an homage to a lot of cartoon comic strips that he loved growing up. Notably, he loved Chuck Jones, the one of the geniuses behind Bugs Bunny, and you could see a lot of his Chuck Jones similarities when later on when you get to characters like Rockjaw. But he also obviously Disney. And I think he says Walt Kelly's Pogo, and I see Walt Kelly's Pogo just so strong in Bone. He also says he a lot of, like Carl Banks. Carl Banks did a lot of the artwork for some Disney characters, most notably Uncle Scrooge, in the comic books. Excuse me. But here we have cartoon books. Cartoon books only publishes it's Jeff Smith's comic company, and he only publishes creator-owned, meaning his own stuff. So let's get into the comic proper. Yeah, let's go. So number one by Jeff Smith, 1994. This is the 7th printing. I don't even know if I have the first printing. I got to go through my book. So it's a black and white comic, and there are color editions, and I got to say the color editions look wonderful. But when it first came out, it was in black and white, and that's what I'm used to, and that's what I'm going to showcase. So here we have, that's Phone Bone, the main character. Smiley Bone, he's like dummy, and that's Phony Bone. Yeah, now I'm going a little crazy that I can't remember the characters' names. Yeah, and he's like a shyster con man, and he got all the action stuff. So he ran for mayor, and he made big promises, and when it was time to pay up the promises, he couldn't pay them or something like that. So they were run out of Boneville, and Boneville, as far as I remember, they never show Boneville. It was it was the wistful, beautiful homeland, the object of desire that we never really see. So, and that's one thing Jeff Smith does. He does cover, like Joseph Campbell's the hero's journey in this comic. So it covers some big themes, and it uses some classic heroic storytelling techniques in the guise of a child's comic. I just think it's wonderful. But anyway, there are a couple of weird things about the comic that I don't quite get, but I'll if they show up in the first issue, which I doubt, I'll point them out. So look at this. It's not really a splash page. It's one panel, and then there's two little other panel inserts in here. So it's kind of like a splash page, but whatever. It works. It's setting up the stage. So it's still no sign of the town people. So that the coast is clear. So they're being chased out of town, and they're all cousins. And here they are, dummy Smiley Bone and Phone Bone. He's just like a Phone Bone is just like a good guy is the only way to describe him. Just a nice guy. Oh, and here's the map that they're following. So, the ex-richest guy in town because he lost all his money. Look, just setting up jokes. Smiley Bones, he's not scared. Smiley Bone is too dumb to be scared, and he's just dramatic. Oh, what's going on? It's not my strength. It's not my problem. Nothing's ever his fault. He's just a conniver, schemer. But nothing's ever his fault. So here they are. I'm not going to read all the dialogue. I'm just going to go through the first issue, then talk about the comic in general. So they're looking through the map, and they've been holding them. Smiley Bone's been holding the map wrong. So they don't know where they are. So now they're in. They look. Again, he's being super dramatic, and and let's get back. And what is this? Pretty neat, huh? And the locusts come. And the locusts, they cause them to panic, and they're just running to flee the locusts. They're running and running. They don't know where they're going. They fall down into this hidden valley. Geez, I can't believe I wasn't killed. Hey, come back. And hey guys, I'm down in this valley. Can you hear me? And the eyes open up. I think that's Rockjaw. That you don't actually see till like issue 38 or something like that. So they all climb down. What's going on? They're separated, and more people. You know, you definitely see the Chuck Jones influence. And the story in the first issue is over. They get lost. They get separated. He falls into a valley, and they're separated. And he's following the map. That's pretty much useless. And they meet the stupid rat creatures. So the rat creatures are monsters that are stupid. They're used as like shock troopers for the main bad guy in the comic, that the Lord of the Locusts. So here's the eyeballs. Oh, so this, yeah, that's not Rockjaw. Rockjaw is the lion. This is the dragon thing. So he falls asleep. Who's that? Thanks for the light. You know what's going on. So, like, again, the story's no great shakes in the first issue. It's really just a dipping your toes in the water. But I just love the whimsical, cartoony homage to everything. So now he finds this hidden valley. So he went through, you know, and again, it's the classic hero's journey from Greek mythology, Sumerian mythology. So Jeff Smith is telling a hero's tale. He leaves his homeland and he wanders through in his homeland, paradise, and travels through the unknown and here to the foreign place where he is now the outsider. So now Bone comes down into this hidden valley, and here he meets Ted the Bug. I always love this character, Ted the Bug. Hi, I'm Ted. I'm a bug. You look like a leaf. So he's like, a leaf? That's an insult. Where's my big brother? Here comes the big brother. You pricking on Ted. So everything is foreign to him. He's the hero in the new land. Ted the Bug's brother's, threatening him, and Ted becomes one of his companions. And I just love it. It looks like a little potato chip. More stupid rat creatures. Look, they're gonna eat him, and he's not used to any of this. He's from another land. He's never saw this. And they talked about like nuclear reactors and stuff like that in their land. So their land is like a modern world, I assume, with like television stuff. And now he's in this like hidden valley, which is like a fantasy land. It's like medieval, European fantasy. Very Lord of the Rings inspired, and filled with their own monsters and stuff. So you got talking bugs, stupid rat creatures, dragons. You got a gigantic lion, and I just love the design of the rat creatures. And now he's starting to realize that they're malevolent, and he goes, "I'm sorry, Ted. I'm looking, Ted." And then he goes, and then like whimsically, the snow falls. Okay. This is Thorn. This is Grandma Rose. That's the dragon whose name escapes me, and there you go. So, phony, Smiley, go back. Don't come this way. There's a cliff. So, again, this is just issue number 1. It's just getting your feet wet in the story. There's 55 issues with like a couple like one shots, and then there's like a Rose 3-issue miniseries that's illustrated by Charlie Vest. That it's just wonderful, just wonderful fantasy painting. It's so good. But again, at first glance, this is for children. And I can't argue with that, because the whole story, there's nothing really offensive. There's a couple of like suggestive things that really went over my head the first time I looked at them. It wasn't until I went on like forums and discussing this that I had to go back and be like, oh, I missed that. So, keep your eyes open when you're reading some Bone. So, like I said, I'm not going to point it out here, but it's an homage. Jeff Smith is doing an homage to all of his old favorite cartoons, and an homage to the classic mythological storytelling. So the three family members exiled from their land, strangers in a strange land. The next issue they meet up with Thorn, humans. They never saw humans before. Everybody is Bones. That's the name of their race and clan or whatever. So they're Bones. They meet humans and they meet Rose, and Phone immediately develops a crush on Rose, and Rose, she thinks he's cute, but he's, not even the same species. So, but she becomes like their guide through the world, and it's whimsical and it's goofy, and the great cow race and all these silly things. But then you find out like the whole valley is under a curse. There's an evil wizard or warlord, I don't know what you call him, like a presence, like a demon, the Lord of the Locusts, and he's really scary. He's filled with menace. So just like Harry Potter, where it starts out through the eyes of a child, and it's kind of simple, the first Harry Potter book. If you read the books, they don't really show this too much in the Harry Potter movies, but if you read the Harry Potter books, the first book is I don't want to say simplistic, but it's simple because it's through the eyes of an 11-year-old, and it's told to and that Rowling allows the books to get more complicated as she assumes that her audience also grows up and becomes more complicated. So by the time you get to book 7, it's really dark and it's really complicated. Same with Bone. It starts out simple, the little farmers having a cow race, and Rose and her grandmother Thorn and her grandmother Rose, that they're sweet on some guys in town, and it's all kind of nice, and they like staying there. Then you meet the Lord of the Locusts, and then you're finding out like the lineage of Rose and what's going on, and the Stick Eaters show up. They're like the Death Eaters, and there's this air of menace to a couple. There's one line. I'm just gonna say the line now, but she's just like, "I have no sister." When that line was it was the last line of one of the comics, I got chills and I couldn't wait. It was bi-monthly. I was like, for 2 months, like, what is going on? Nothing is like it seems. It actually comes pretty scary. Nothing too terrifying that little kids couldn't handle, but the innocence of the artwork kind of tricks you into thinking that it's just a simplistic kid story. Just keep in mind, this is Jeff Smith telling the hero's journey, the classic Joseph Campbell, classical mythologies, storytelling tropes. It's just wonderful. I heard that Netflix optioned this for a cartoon series, and they would be silly not to do this. It's just a wonderful story. And it's 6 trade paperbacks, and you could read them. This first issue takes you like 4 minutes to read. It's so quick. I think it was up to like issue 20 when I heard all the. I dismissed it too, just like everybody else. I thought it was just okay. It's just hokey children's stuff. But the more I was reading about it, the more other people that I respected were talking about how good it was. I was like, all right, I got to get it in on this. So I bought all the back issues, and some of them were hard to find. That's why I have the 7th printing, because the first printing was like a lot of money if you could even find it. So I think 1 to 19 is cartoon books, and then 19 to 20 or something, 25 is Image Comics, and then it goes back to cartoon books. Just so worth it, but it's easy to get the trades. There's 6 trade paperbacks? There's 9 trade paperbacks. Out of Boneville is the first one. And you could get a colored edition. You could get the original black and white edition. The Great Cow Race, The Eyes of the Storm, Dragon Slayer, Rockjaw, Master of the Eastern Border, Old Man's Cave, Ghost Circles, Treasure Hunters, and Crown of Horns. And that's the end. It's just good. I love it. It's goofy. It's wonderfully childish in the best sense of the word. And then it becomes a deeper, darker story. And then once you read the whole thing and you go back and read it, you're going to see like, oh, okay, I missed that. I didn't see that. And, you can appreciate it for the dark, scary story that it is. I find this like on par with like C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, just because Tolkien, The Hobbit was children's literature. I remember somebody dismissed it. Oh, it's just children's literature. They said that about Harry Potter. I was like, well, the Hobbit was children's literature. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was children's literature, and this is children's literature. Doesn't mean this is timeless. This is really, really good. Recommend it. I'm just going to repeat myself if I talk anymore, so I'll end it now. But there you go. This is Jeff Smith's Bone. The single issues are pretty expensive. And if you care about getting the first printings, then they're very expensive. So the trade paperbacks are fine. You could get them. Jeff Smith is really smart about keeping them in print. So there you go. Pick them up. They're really good. Thanks a lot. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Bone Jeff Smith.